Hi, thanks for joining us. tplmedia.ca for all kinds of great content, new podcasts every day. Some days, often, we have several podcasts at launch. And I'll encourage you, if you'd like, please support the podcast network. That's how we keep the wheels on the cart. Today, we are talking about something that has students terrified. Let me read this to you. It's a heavy time to be entering the workforce. In 2026, we aren't just talking about robots in factories anymore. AI has moved into the thinking jobs that used to be a safe bet for middle class life. Now, that comes from a graduation speech made right here in Waterloo, Ontario. And that's terrifying to me because that's the height of technology here in Canada, many think. Talking to us more about AI and the future of your jobs. Oh, my good God. Adeel Khan, Vosyn AI. They are a software as a service company right here in Canada. And Adeel is the head of capital markets, which means you do want this AI thing to succeed. Well, the rest of us are going to try and tamp it down and save our jobs.
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
I believe, the good of humanity, the collective good of humanity. But I also believe heavily on how we can advance ourselves as a civilization with this new technology.
Well, I think you can see that I was trying to blow it up a little bit more beyond what it is, because I think everyday life right now, AI it's helpful alongside being irritating 100%. In a 50-50 ratio, 100%. I believe. What am I looking at? Everybody is now filtering AI in their own brain. I don't know how healthy that is for human beings to have to detect something so close to reality and understand whether it is or not.
Seeing isn't believing anymore, and it used to be.
Right. The other thing is it's very helpful. I mean, if you need to write an essay in 12 minutes that gets you through the graduating process, I think ChatGPT probably has some means of doing that for you. But let me ask you, is it kind of an overblown scenario? I got a couple of stats I can throw at you 100%. Just to see if these line up with what you're hearing out there. 21% of grads believe their education's already obsolete. 59% of Gen Z see AI as a threat to careers, and 62% of students are concerned about AI's job impact. Do you think these fears are founded in reality?
I would say yes, but there's more context to it. The thing is, most people, especially right now in 2026, they don't know enough about AI. It's still a very new concept now. Yes, it's existed for a long time now, but in the mainstream, really when OpenAI released its GPT, people really started to understand this. And I just think that yes, it will replace entry-level jobs. We're going to see less of the lower ladder on the corporate career almost disappear, and we're going to see more middle management and senior management kind of operators take over. But I would say, yes, I think it's very grounded. I think their fear is real. But I also think it stems from the fact that people are not informed. Most people don't know how to use AI. Most people are still treating it like a chatbot, So
that's the main product that's out there,
Pretty much, yeah. It started as a chatbot, but now, it's extended to agents and extended to different types of prompt engineering. And there's so many nuances that they're not communicated in the universities. And I would say modern day academia and policy and governance, it hasn't caught up as fast as the tech has. I would say their fears are real, and it makes sense, but also stems from, to my earlier point, a lack of understanding of what this new technology really is.
Okay, let's turn it upside down then.
Yeah.
Let's look at the bottom of the pyramid then, where most of us stand at the moment.
100%.
It is mainly a chatbot. Yeah. I really like the feature on my phone that can put a mariachi band behind you that's very convincing, and I can send it to you. So there are, at the moment, it seems like the general public has a novel sense of what's going on with AI. Mm-hmm. But we are now starting to understand that it shows up in other places. I did a show a couple of weeks ago where AI is in the courtroom, and it's actually helping truncate the process that can otherwise be pretty onerous. In the courtroom.
Right.
Where else are we seeing huge advantageous moments where AI doesn't take the job away, makes the job better?
Look, I think we're seeing it across every single industry. I think we're seeing it everywhere. It's just not as advertised, let's just say. And I'll say this, AI is great for synthesizing information. So if you're in the court and you're a lawyer or you're a paralegal, whatever you're dealing with it, You're able to pull information and create documents and synthesize information well, but that will never replace the leverage that you have from experience. And I've noticed this coming from some of my mentors that have really taught me and helped me in my career, is that when they use AI, they're using it from 45 years of real business experience versus a student coming out of college and, they're typing something dumb on GPT and hoping to get some kind of, miraculous enlightenment. It's the leverage that people are going to see at the top, to your point, are the ones that have experience and the ones that know how to utilize the technology.
It kind of makes me think of something I had a Commodore 64.
Right.
Ask your dad.
Okay.
And it was the biggest thing. You could put code in there and stuff. And I remember my teacher saying to me, "Remember, Mike, garbage in, garbage out."
Yeah.
And I think that you're right then. That experience factor, the human experience on top of the ability to process mathematically,
right,
synthesize information quickly, filter quickly.
Right.
That could make experts in the field that much more powerful.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And the way AI can synthesize information, it's like we can't rival that as people. It's humanly impossible.
Right.
But what we do have, and what AI will never replace, is the human factor.
Let's talk a little bit about what you guys are up to. Vosyn AI is really specifically in the communication space, I would have to say.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about what the company is working on right now.
100%. So at its core, what we do is we do real-time contextual localization. So super simple. Something about maybe 51% of the world's content is in English, but only really, and don't quote me on the exact number here, but like maybe 20% of people.
ChatGPT, is Adeel lying to us? Just kidding.
Yeah, it's interesting because 50% of the content's world content is in English, is in English, but only 20% of people access it and can speak the language. And so now you have this massive demographic of people that they can't interact with the world's content the same way people like you or me who can, even for us, we can't access the other 49% because maybe we only speak English, as an example. Right. And what Vosyn is able to do is we're able to bring contextual understanding to that layer. So as an example, super simple, I speak Urdu as a second language. Luckily, I'm fluent. I've been brought up in, I was in the environment. And in Urdu, it's really interesting because in Urdu, the word tomorrow and the word yesterday is the same word. Oh my God. And it's completely two different meanings.
That's incredible. Is there a different emphasis on the way that you say it even?
It actually is based on where you format it within the sentence. And it's the contextual understanding. And sometimes someone like me who's native in both languages, I'd understand in a heartbeat. But someone who's not, it's like, and subbing and dubbing, you can't get the same response out of that.
We've seen that, I think. Netflix has been a good example of that, and Amazon. Yeah. I live in a household with two languages as well. We have Spanish and English.
Right.
And when I see the Spanish treatment of English programming, I'm horrified.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's really bad at times. Yeah. Not even context is out of whack. Literally sentence structure breaks down.
Right.
So I can see. So now what Vosyn does is bridge that gap somehow.
Absolutely. Really what it is it's an experience layer. Because if you're watching, as to your point, you're watching something in Spanish and it's dubbed in English, and it's completely haywire. You're losing that experience. It would be the same way as if you were to go to the East and tell people about, we use this example a lot, Morgan Freeman, Shawshank Redemption, and his acting.
Okay.
But somebody in the East who doesn't speak English for the first time, you can't convey the same essence of the actor, the skill, all that stuff. It gets completely lost.
Well, what do you do about this? Morgan Freeman doesn't have a really, he has a very distinctive voice. You do not want something that you need his, and how do you guys handle that? Does that compensate as well? In other words, would I hear it in Urdu and still have the same timbre and obvious recognition of Morgan Freeman's voice?
That's the beauty of it. Absolutely, yes, because it protects.
Come on.
That's what our technology protects. It protects the individuality of the person's voice, the cadence, the tonality. We all speak in different, rhythms. We all have our own nuances when we all speak. It's how we communicate.
Yeah.
And our reasoning model, it captures that. And you would be listening to Morgan Freeman as though he was born and raised in China speaking Mandarin.
With the same voice, same
voice,
timbre.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And look, it goes a step further. You could listen to any types of music. I was talking to one of our a close friend of mine, and I told him he's a very great music guy. He's discs, he's a collector, and I told him you can listen to Drake in Hindi. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you can. And any type of music, contextually accurate, any type of language. I mean, really changes. It's, again, to my point, it changes how we experience the world's content.
A lot of language is cultural.
Absolutely.
Once again, in my household, I might hear, I will say something to my wife and she'll say, no, yes. Well, that's a definite hard yes, just so you know. That's a cultural thing more than a language thing per se. So this allows, I would imagine, for more of that nuance.
Absolutely.
Which is everything.
Absolutely. It's interesting because even in certain parts, I'm not Indian, but parts of India I've traveled in, a yes often is yes, I hear you, not a yes confirmation.
I understand.
Yeah, it's not a yes, I understand. It's yes, I'm hearing you right now. But it's understanding and it's totally different. And and you're right. It's culture. It really impacts language.
So now this feels like a learning tool to me. Suddenly, if I need to understand something in a part of India that is in the news or in technology, and a video comes up, let's say on YouTube, I'm interested in the topic. Right. First of all, I might see this topic for the first time ever.
Right.
Secondly, it's contextualized from my understanding and my processing of it. So for the first time, really, and often maybe this would be the only way that it could happen, a real connection is made because of that context making.
100%. The core for us is human understanding. And I think if we understand each other better, I think we'd get along a lot better as well.
Wow.
And really, that's
fantastic. Okay, so now I can almost see that being used in jobs. That doesn't seem to eliminate a job.
No,
that seems to increase a market, increase knowledge. Yeah, that's quite incredible.
I'll say this because
and of course it involves Morgan Freeman at the base of it. Before anything happens, whether it's Adeel or Morgan Freeman or our producer Nick presenting that content, it's that origin remains there through this process.
Absolutely, it's authentic. It doesn't get diluted as it changes, I guess, channels of how it's communicated.
Adeel, did you come here to freak me out? Is that what's going on here? That's incredible technology. So now that might replace translators. That might replace voice dubbing people. Absolutely. But it's not replacing an industry. It's not replacing Morgan Freeman. I think that's some context to build around it. Your own technology.
Yeah. I'll say this. It's a great question, first of all. And I'll position it like this. In 1995 or something, the role of a social media manager, if you go up to someone and say, I want to be a social media manager, like, what the hell are you talking about? What even is that? And through the evolution of technology, jobs have arisen, like, as an example, a social media manager.
Right.
I think with AI, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to see this, but in a much larger scale. You're going to see a lot of entry-level jobs dissipate, but then you're going to see a lot of new jobs that and I don't know what those are, to be honest. I think a lot of them might be related to operator-type jobs. So as an example with me, I'll give you my example. I guess it's the best example to give, but I run a department in Vosyn, and we used to have maybe 15 or 20 people in the department, and interns and sound. We don't need them because we have AI agents that can do them. So now all it takes is for me or one other person to just operate. How many emails did this agent send? How many, did they send XYZ document, or what's going on? Really, it replaces our job it replaces interns, and it allows us to become operators. So now really what I'm looking for in the right, I guess, hire is, can you operate agents? Not necessarily, can you just do menial tasks for me?
So can you actually use AI the way that we are implementing it? Can you advance the company with this kind of AI? Okay, so what are the jobs that, I don't know that AI is going to replace somebody installing drywall or doing plumbing
one
of the various really important fields of trades out there, the hands-on, the mining, the industry. However, I can see AI lending a hand finding where a deposit is properly, making things safer in a scenario, assisting in the process of many things in the industry. But what do you think some of the jobs that we'll start to see in degrees and diplomas and certificates that we'll start to see in the next 3 to 4 years?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think certain jobs, as an example, bookkeeping is gone. So I would layer this in different categories, almost put this in different buckets. There's jobs that will be completely eliminated, and then there's jobs that might be changed or altered because of the use of AI, and then there's going to be jobs that are completely created, like as of new, that we don't even know as of now. When I start with the third bucket and I say jobs that are going to be created, I would say we're going to see more operator type roles that really you function as the executive, leading a number of agents through doing different tasks, and you're going to see more, let's just say, solo entrepreneurs pick up, and you're going to see more people starting businesses, because the entry gap to starting a business and finding a path to profitability has never been easier now than it's ever been. You registering a business, AI tools can do most of it. You can vibe code a website. It's really easy to do. The jobs that will be, let's just say, in the middle bucket, the ones that are going to be altered. As an example, I'll give you sales. Like in business development, I gave that example earlier. It's more human in the loop factor. Now it's more about, okay, so the emails are being sent out, the legal documents are being sent out, all the smaller stuff that frankly is kind of boring and I don't want to do is already done with agents. But now I can come in and I can really, talk, and I can be the human in the loop. So we're going to see more people that are human in the loop aspect. That's going to really, I would say it's going to be more important than someone who can send out emails or something.
So maybe a business degree becomes more feasible because AI is like you say, that gap is there. I don't think there's that layer of programming necessarily that's going to be as huge a function. I don't think we need 100 million programmers.
No,
we need much less in the programming.
Right.
Operators in each area of business.
Correct.
So I guess what we're talking about is jobs don't get taken away from AI.
Right.
Jobs get enhanced with AI.
Correct.
In your case, you took a layer of, I guess, interns away that were doing menial things and replaced your needs with real knowledgeable people who can operate AI, not necessarily program it.
Right. And I'll add on to this and great points. I think because you mentioned business degrees, I think that what's going to be more important in academia is people who have interpersonal skills, communication skills, people who can connect rather than people who can just do tasks. I think that's where we're going to see, and I don't know if academia's caught up. I'm actually not a graduate. I dropped out when I was very young, and I had a whole story, but so I'm not too aware of the ecosystem. But from my understanding, when I have like 2 years I did 2 years of my bachelor's in business. I think we're going to see more emphasis on people who have communication skills and people who can connect with people who can actually be the human in the loop rather than the people, to your point earlier, is sending emails and smaller tasks.
Here's some terrifying quotes. It doesn't matter if you're a programmer, designer, product manager, data scientist, lawyer, customer support rep, salesperson, or finance person, AI is coming for you. That's Misha Kaufman, the CEO of Fiverr, said that just May of this year, last year. That's a terrifying thing. But as I take a look at that list, programmer, designer, product manager, data scientist, lawyer, these are all places where people are adapting to AI and enhancing their world. I haven't seen a lot of people replaced by AI in this realm. In fact, have you ever tried to get an image from, like, let's say ChatGPT that was for a presentation?
Right.
No, you still need a graphic designer. You still need a writer. You still need that human in the process.
Right. That's interesting. Actually sparks a number of thoughts in my head as you mentioned that. So yes, you do. But as of right now, you still need that person, that human in the loop, that extra designer who could say, oh, this doesn't look right or that doesn't look right. But the scary part, and I'm not trying to scare anyone here.
No, go ahead and scare me.
The scary part is that it's only 2026. We're still in the early stages of this emerging market, and I really believe that as these reasoning models are going to get better and better and better. So whatever they can't do now, they're definitely going to be able to do later. ChatGPT it struggled with making consistent images. over, let's say if you did 5-10 images, it would have these discrepancies. But now you can find that consistency. And obviously there's other nuances related to that, but we're seeing a gradual improvement. And it's not even gradual, really. It's rapid.
Yeah, what is gradual in this modern era? It takes place within hours, not days even.
That's what I'm saying. You can't even fathom the element of speed because things move so fast. I mean, it's crazy because all these companies are coming up, and the next day, Anthropic, they do some random update and then like 100,000 companies go obsolete.
Right.
And it's moving so fast, it's almost impossible to keep track of.
Here's another quote. If you're looking for a path forward, the data shows a massive shift toward human-centric physical world roles, careers like nursing, psychology, skilled trades like electricians and HVAC, and high-level strategy. They're seeing record low unemployment because they require physical dexterity or high-stakes empathy that AI simply cannot simulate.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great message in all of this. The human element of society really does still have a foundation. Even if you look 10 years down the road, I don't think AI is installing, maybe if robots are so online and so achievable that your HVAC company can afford to buy them. I don't think so, to be honest with you. I'm still waiting for flying cars.
I know, right? I was waiting
George
for that.
Jetson.
Yeah.
And I want my jetpack soon. AI is fine, but I want my jetpack. But I do think that those positions where humans need care, where something needs physically built, there's humans going to be involved in that process. I hope.
Yeah, it's a good train of thought. I see what you're saying. I'll respond to this in two ways. The first thing I'll say is that robotics is also advancing. AI is obviously advancing crazy, but also on the robotics side, like we're seeing, like, you're looking at Elon Musk and, like all these like new robots coming. I think we'll eventually get to a point where robots will be able to do these things. And as an example, I think a machine would eventually would be able to do better surgery than a qualified surgeon. And then maybe the surgeon is like a human in the loop factor. I don't know. That's very scary. I can't avoid that reality.
Yeah, I don't want that. I would still like a human doctor.
100%.
My brain says no to that.
Right. And that leads me to my second.
And have you seen the robots that Elon Musk is making?
I haven't. I've seen them like move around, but I haven't done a deep dive.
Nick, have you seen these? Yeah. They are silly.
Really?
They run around banging into things and smashing mirrors by accident. I feel badly for these robots. They're dummies. But I can see the future there. I can see, I don't know. I can see the robotic end of things coming online. And like you say, at the speed of which light moves in these industries, we really could be there tomorrow.
100%.
But I think it's a matter of just keeping an eye on those industries and remembering that there are billions and billions of us here. We have the ability to prevent or accept what we want in technology.
100%. And what's funny, and it's interesting, and I have a bit of a stat here. I actually just saw this just before coming to the room here, but 80% of the companies, they're backtracking on AI implementation. Not because that it doesn't work, or I guess partly it is because it doesn't work. There's a number of reasons to why it doesn't work without going into too many details.
Well, from hallucinations to just implementation.
Like governance policy, big tech can't implement AI as fast as smallest company can because there's a lot of bureaucracy dealing with it. And we're seeing real backtrack. And I think people are going to speak. I also think that common sense is going to prevail. I don't believe that we're just going to destroy ourselves because, we're advancing technology. I think there's more thought to it than that.
Adeel, you actually did calm me down. I really appreciate this. Where can people find out more about Vosyn? Is there a sample up someplace they can see of what you guys do?
Look, you can drop my email. You can always contact me directly. Otherwise, you can visit Vosyn.ai. We're also on LinkedIn. We're giving constant updates. We're on Instagram. We're sharing our vision and our mission with the world every single day, and would love to have you part of that.
This sounds so cool. I will try to include that link in the description of the show, and I'll make sure that people can reach out to you. Thanks. I really appreciate this.
Absolutely.
Thanks, man. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe, tell a friend, comment, not just about our passion either. By the way, a lot of the comments that you make turn into shows, so we do appreciate them, and I appreciate you. We'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Patriotic means looking out for each other and fixing things together.
True patriotism is being in the country you love, surrounded by people you love, and great weather.
Being a patriot is being a part of your community and caring for it.
It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from, patriotism is the one thing we all share.
It's okay to be critical of government and still be a patriot.
It's gratitude to your country.
Of course I'm a patriot. I'm Canadian. It's my home.
Well, actually, true patriot love is the mission.